Questions are being raised about two dogs euthanized at the South LA animal shelter that rescue groups say were on hold for pickup. But tonight, LA Animal Services says otherwise about that. NBC4's Tracey Leong with more now on what happened.
For both Indigo and Johnny Boy, the rescue groups tell me their plans for their release had already been arranged. But on the days they were set to be picked up, both were euthanized. Now the people who wanted to bring them home are demanding accountability. These two dogs, Indigo and Johnny Boy, were euthanized within days of each other at the South LA Animal Shelter in October.
I called my wife, and my wife was pretty upset. And she was like, well, I don't know how to tell the kids. And I was like, I don't know how to tell them either.
Larry Seahorn and his family thought they were set to pick up 6-year-old Indigo on October 21st. They recently lost their beloved 15-year-old pit bull Tonka to cancer and were ready to open their home and hearts to another dog. Indigo was surrendered to the shelter after his family could no longer care for him. A rescue group had helped Seahorn secure Indigo for adoption and coordinated the arrangements for pickup.
It's just sad that that was a family pet that unfortunately that due to circumstances, he lost his home and was about to get a second chance and instead is no longer here.
In a statement to NBC4, LA Animal Services saying in part, Indigo was scheduled for euthanasia on October 20th. When the shelter received a call from an individual who stated there was a potential adopter for Indigo, the shelter extended Indigo's euthanasia date to October 21st and communicated the adopter needed to be at the shelter by 8 a.m. No one arrived for Indigo at 8 a.m., and the shelter received no further communication that morning, so Indigo was euthanized at noon.
Why couldn't they have called and said, hey, are you going to pick up this dog?
Both the rescue group and Seahorn say a deadline for pickup was never communicated by the shelter during their phone call, and they plan to pick up Indigo before the shelter closed at 5 p.m. 2 days later, on October 23rd, 2-year-old Johnny Boy met a similar fate. Johnny Boy arrived at the shelter as a stray. He was microchipped, but no one ever came for him.
I was heartbroken. He was such a sweet dog.
Madison Jamona was set to foster Johnny Boy. A rescue group says they emailed the shelter at 6:45 a.m. on October 23rd, confirming their interest in taking Johnny Boy. The same form of communication and time frame the rescue group tells NBC4 the shelter had previously accepted as adequate notice for rescues to place dogs on hold. But when the dog transporter arrived at 9 a.m. to pick him up, Johnny Boy was already gone. According to the shelter, his euthanasia process started between 8:30 and 8:45 that morning.
The dogs do have an exit plan, and you still proceed with euthanization. Just makes no sense and is heartbreaking.
In a statement to NBC4, LA Animal Services saying in part, Johnny Boy was moved to the euthanasia alert on October 18th with a clearly stated deadline of October 22nd. As of 5:16 p.m. on October 22nd, the shelter received no emails, calls, or texts with a firm rescue commitment for the dog.
I think they really pick and choose when they want to save a dog or if they don't, and it's just so disheartening.
Jamona and Seahorn demanding reassurance from the shelter this won't happen again.
When I got told that it happened again at the same exact shelter, I'm like, what the heck? I was like, okay, this is not a coincidence.
They're pushing for policy changes, demanding the shelter provide straightforward guidelines on when dogs can be pulled and ensure that the interested parties are notified before any dog marked for rescue is euthanized.
Just accountability from the shelter itself, and when there are people who are willing to come forward and help, that we are able to just make sure it is an easy procedure to get them out.
LA Animal Services tells NBC4 that both dogs had clear deadlines and behavior concerns, but acknowledges that people may feel upset and disappointed over both of them being euthanized. Reporting in South LA, Tracey Leong, NBC4 News.